Funny. Well, what do you want to say?
That we offer private, instrument, and even commercial training. All right here in Ocala. They don't even have to go anywhere else. They can do it all right here.
Nope, never work.
Well, then give them the number to call with any questions.
I can't even remember your number.
Yes, you do. 861-7484. How hard is that?
Okay, I'll call you next week and we'll get it started.
Can you remember the number this time?
Yes, 861-7484.
Call me.
Robin, how do you like my design?
You're designing a box?
That's not a box. It's a doghouse.
Rough draft for your rough? Sounds like you need personal service.
I do?
Yes, to print the blueprints. See Mark at the Personal Service Center. He can print blueprints, notarize permit applications, print and mail out invoices, and even provide great-looking business cards.
Personal Service Center. That's the one on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street, right?
Just look for the yellow signs. Your pedigree palace will be a reality in no time.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. If you're listening to us, then you're listening on a gadget. A radio is a gadget, and you might consider it an old-fashioned gadget, but I was looking at a report this morning. I'll tell Jim about it. Hold on. Let me introduce Jim George first. This has got to do with TV. It's got to do with radio. It's got to do with the FCC, and Jim George is not here. So another gadget, calling in on his phone, his smartphone, Robin. I think it's a smartphone. Jim George from American Cable Services, and we had an interesting visit last week with Jim from, he had a friend, a colleague visiting from Slovenia, right?
Yeah.
Simon was his name. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is a technology first for us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's your first call-in. and are you still with Simon?
No, Simon has gone back to Slovenia.
Okay, excellent. And what are you in Tallahassee right now?
I'm actually just outside of Tallahassee, but I'll be back in Tallahassee in about 20 minutes.
And are you doing something with the legislature?
No, I'm picking up some equipment and just waiting for the place to open up. In fact, it opens at 9, but I'm speaking to you, so around 9:30, 9:40, I'll pick up some stuff and head back to Ocala.
So there was a report this morning that said that this was probably the best time of the year to buy a TV just before the Super Bowl. These sales are better than before Christmas.
Retailers are doing a lot of crazy things. When you speak to Galen a lot of times, he says the same thing. You really never know when there's going to be a good time to buy. You think it's Black Friday, and then you think it's Christmas, and now look, they're having it in February.
Yeah, I guess that's because of the Super Bowl. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
all of those deals and everything, because people want to buy those new big TVs so everybody can watch the game.
All right, so here's the thing I was wondering about with TV. There was a story this morning. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission, the FCC in other words, is moving forward to advance a new broadcasting standard that would improve television picture quality. Wow, it seems like it's absolutely perfect already. What could be better?
Well, they advanced the quality of audio about a year ago called AC3. And a lot of stuff that I buy now for my cable system, has to be AC3 compatible. So the SMPTE, that's SMPTE, this Society of Motion Pictures Technology, something or other, they have a new standard, a new digital standard that they want broadcasters to follow, which in effect will give you more lines of resolution, which will give you a better quality picture.
But when you have the television channels that are showing the TV series from like the 70s and the 80s, there's no way they can improve on that, correct?
Oh, good point.
Well, they can, they have a master of it, let's say, which is the original. It's hard to do from a copy of a copy. They can run it through all kind of things called impulse noise reducers and and video enhancers, and it looks, it comes out fantastic. But if it was black and white, they even have a way of turning it color. I guess when Turner started colorizing a lot of the old films, it's amazing what we can do technology-wise. Take a black and white, turn it color.
Yeah, and some people didn't like that, and some people did like it. I think I do like it. I'm not necessarily a purist. I like the movies to be in color. What was the one I was watching? I was watching A Wonderful Life, I think it was, and it was in color. And I thought, this is awesome. But I was reading an article that everybody wasn't so happy with that. Oh, I guess because they like things to stay the way they were, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they sense the different hues, and then they know, let's say, flesh tones, and they have to start with one, and then they work to the left and work to the right, creating the different colors. It's really unique to look at the process, and you can always go online and type in how a black and white film's colorized.
So here's something else from the article I wanted you to comment on. It says the new signals, if approved, would allow for panoramic views of sports programs with multiple views of an event. The downside would be that the next generation signals will not work with existing televisions. Users will need to buy new sets or converter equipment to receive the 3.0 service. So that is interesting. So what does that mean? Like, I'll be able to look around the stadium and see who's behind me and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, there are always multiple cameras, as you know, when the switchboard guy switches from one camera to the other and such. All they're saying is they're going to give you a wider angle of view. But you're right, that today's TVs, imagine the guy that just went out and bought a brand new one, and now it's, let's say, Super Bowl pricing, and then in 2 or 3 years it'll be another new one. But TVs are getting so cheap that literally they're throwaway items. It's impossible to fix the TV nowadays. Literally impossible. It's one little circuit board and then a great big plasma.
Yeah. So going back to the conversation we were having yesterday with your guest from Slovenia, Simon, we had a couple of calls afterwards asking about that, and the one that I didn't know the answer to any of the questions, but the one that I think was most important on everybody's mind is when. When will we see this?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's going to be approximately anywhere between 45 and 60 days. He's got a lot of technology, but there's a few small items he doesn't have. One of them is the electronic programming guide, and everybody lives with electronic programming guides. Not so much you, because you don't have cable or have a box. But if you have a box and you want to record, you want to see what's coming up next.
Right.
You want to see what time of day is coming up. And it's really the guide that allows you to record.
Okay.
In other words, you click on what it is the guide says, like 10:30 tonight, Gone with the Wind, and then you hit record. So he has a lot of things. He has the recording capability. Everybody does not have the guide. So we've talked to a couple of companies that are going to send him samples of their guide and see if he can incorporate it into his box. But in reality, 45 to 60 days, they'd be more like June before we actually start announcing, here it is.
I got you. So what I wondered about was with the new technology that was in this article, they were also saying, just another thing, that it'll enable the broadcasters to better have a better understanding of how many people are actually watching their programming. And I'm wondering.
Well, that's a real smart TV, isn't it?
And I'm wondering how that will affect you as a cable operator, if you see that, for example, your audience, the one you service specifically, let's say there's nobody watching, I don't know, one of the channels. Just nobody's watching it at all. That might make you change that channel to something else.
Exactly. That's the reason for the a la carte. If I find that I'm carrying, let's say, we've always used an example, the sewing channel, but there really isn't one right this minute, but if there was, and I had nobody taking the sewing channel, I would just change it to something else, and then I might have 3 or 4 people calling in saying, "Oh, I see you dropped the sewing channel." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, we want it back." And I say, "Well, why have you never watched it?" "Well, how do you know I've never watched it?" "The technology tells me who's watching it."
Okay, yeah. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? It's almost like canceling a show, but you would have the power to cancel it in your little part of the world. I mean, the show would be still out there. Somebody could get it, but
yeah.
yeah.
As I said, it cost me about $3,000 just to add one channel. So if I have a choice of adding the sewing channel or Fox News, I have to choose one that somebody would like to watch.
Oh, interesting.
So I have to be careful, because I don't want to offer 500 channels and have you decide which ones you want. I'd like to offer maybe 120 at the max. But of that, you're only going to pay for maybe 10 or 12 or 15. You're not going to want all 120.
Right.
And then you had brought up earlier in our past conversations that if a person locally has a show that they want to put on your channel, they'll need you will be able to designate a channel to that. But if somebody wants to have a show, would they be able to come to you, and then you would be able to recommend the different TV production facilities here in Marion County, so they would have a handle as who to go to, so they could be able to have their show produced?
Yeah, what's going to happen. Some local entrepreneur, Robin, let's say it's you and Larry, are going to say, okay, I would like to create a channel, and I'd like to make it a channel of all local entrepreneurs. And then you would advertise, in the paper or whatever. If you have a program or a series or something you want to do, contact us, and then you would put that into the hour, or half-hour show that it is, and that would be, you would have your own channel, and it can view, in New York, for instance, there are about 30 local channels that are only in New York, and only carried, some of them only off the air, and others on, let's say, the system there. I forget the name of it right now. They come to me in a minute. But to make a long story short, someone's going to create a channel, and everybody can go to it, instead of them having to come to me and say, I have this 15-minute or 30-minute thing. How do I get it on? I'll say, go see Larry and Robin. They'll put you into their sequencer, and they'll have it up, and they'll give me a guide that says what time you're on, and ta-da, there you are.
Nice. I have to call Jim first, because I won't know what a sequencer is.
Yeah. He'll educate us.
Well, you do it all the time. The sequencer is when you say this is on at 8, this is on at 8:30, That's what you do all the time.
Let's take a phone call. By the way, the phone lines are open. I should have mentioned that in the opening. Jim is live. He's up in Tallahassee. The number here right now is 622-9622, and I'll connect you with a caller right now. Jim, good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
My question is, with the broadcasting you just mentioned, about the channels, is like FM channel, let's say 90.7, whatever. Can I do something like that?
The audio is usually accompanied by a video. So let's assume, in my case, because remember, I'm carrying video. I don't have what I call a 24-hour audio channel. Now, there are the music channels that I can carry. I can carry up to 60 different music channels, contemporary, Christian, contemporary, this or that. But that just takes up, a lot of space on the cable system. And the way I feel about it, if a person wants to listen to something, just turn the radio on, But who knows? I could change my mind and decide to go ahead and carry 20, 30, 50 audio. And so to answer your question, Doug, if you were one of those channels and I wanted to carry you, then that's all I would do is just have you pipe into me your signal, and it would go out to the world.
Thank you for the call, Doug. We have to take a little break, and we'll be right back with Jim George. If you'd like to call in, the number is 622-9622. We will be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Some fog this morning near the coast. Otherwise, it'll be partly sunny today. Nice and warm this afternoon with a high of 77 to 81. Then mainly clear Friday night, lows in the low to mid-50s. For Saturday, more sun than clouds. There may be a stray shower along the coast, the high 72 to 76. And for Sunday, partly sunny, high 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Come to the 4th Annual Habitat Strawberry Festival on March 4th, 2017 at the McPherson Government Complex. The festival's goal is not only to have vendors, food, a car show, a kids zone, live entertainment featuring one flight up, a lip sync competition, police versus fire department pie eating contest, and all things strawberry. But to also raise funds to build a habitat home for a family in our community. Check out the website, habitat.org, and follow the link. The Habitat for Humanity Strawberry Festival is March 4th with breakfast served at 7:30. Free parking, free admission.
All right, 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Nice looking Friday here in Ocala. I'm guessing the weather's up in Tallahassee as well. And the reason I say that is because Jim George is up in Tallahassee right now taking calls from you. If you want to call, I see the line ringing, so let me go to the phone. Jim, we're back, and let's go straight to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Good morning, Jim. You were talking about these different channels. I didn't quite catch everything, but I can remember years ago they used to have a real estate channel, and it was on like once a week, and they went through the area homes. And this was long before the miniaturization of cameras and low light cameras, etc. So it seems to me it would be a lot easier for some entrepreneur to go ahead and do something like that, to feature the various, homes in Ocala, Marion County, etc. But when I was younger, when my son was playing hockey, they had a video camera thing, and I took some of the videos for him, but everything went back to this big dolly where the actual recorder and everything was. You just held the camera, but you had to tow this thing around. And now to see the technology today is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'll hang up and listen to what your response is on all this that's going on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Well, this is going to spur a whole lot of new channels and entrepreneurs. A real estate channel, like let's call it Ocala Now or something. They can start doing videos of the houses. I mean, I don't know who would want to watch that channel unless, I guess, if you're really looking for a house. But they could do neighborhood by neighborhood. So they could say Deer Run is on for 15 minutes, houses for sale there. On Top of the World, 30 minutes, houses for sale there. And, that could be a channel in and of itself. And then funding and how to get house mortgage, and there could be a real estate channel.
Let's talk about money for a second here. When we talk about higher quality broadcasts, and that means higher quality broadcast equipment, it sounds like there's a cost increase for the cable companies, and people are already complaining about the cost. Well, I'm guessing it'll trickle down to the buyer, right? To the homeowner.
Exactly. Now, everything costs nowadays. That's the only problem that you really have. And the new technology, demands that we change, and then it asks you to change with the demand for it. So that the TV sets, as you just mentioned, are going to be changing. Panorama, they're going to have 4K is definitely coming quick. We have 1080. That's what we call our high def. Japan started their high def, and they call it 4,000. And now Japan's just completed an 8,000. So before we even start to launch 4,000, Japan's already moving on to 8,000. So you can see how many different lines of resolution and how clear. That thing is going to be so clear, you'd have to, if you could probably pet the cat on the screen.
The thing says that many nations are considering using the new standard set by South Korea. So they must have some of the best in the world. South Korea, huh?
Yeah, South Korea and Japan are probably the leaders in television sets and that type of technology. China is a copycatter, more or less. That's what they do. But Japan and Korea are like, you might say, the leaders in developing stuff.
Are the high definition television sets so affordable now that when their life expectancy runs out, is it better just to purchase a new one or get it repaired?
No, get a new one. It's literally impossible to repair. I've had people who have bought some 65-inch Samsungs and things like that. They've gone bad, and they just go bad in increments. One side of the screen doesn't work. They're little chipsets, and they've called up the manufacturer, and the manufacturer, if it's under warranty, just sends them another one and says throw it away. Oh, and how they make sure they've thrown it away is they ask them to cut off, let's say, a cord or cut off something inside, just send it to them to prove that they've disposed of the TV.
So here's an interesting one too, Jim. This is more along the lines of radio. CBS Radio and Entercom Communications are planning to merge, whatever, right? And the president of the of CBS Entercom merger, what's his name? Steve Beeman. He says he wants to make sure that even though it's going to be a bigger network, that they have a local flavor. And I was thinking, wow, we've been trying to do that from day one, but we do it on a local level.
Exactly.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Jim.
All right. Yeah. So the local flavor is gonna, it's always been interesting. Like I said, Cablevision, that's the one that's in New York. They have about 20 what they usually call underground channels. That is, someone is doing it out of their basement or doing it out of their garage. And they have a 10-hour-a-day channel or a 5-hour-a-day channel. And what Cablevision does is they take your 5-hour-a-day and my 10-hour-a-day and Robin's 5-hour-a-day, and they create a 24-hour-a-day channel. And it's just whatever you want to say, just like Wayne's World. Remember that program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they do. They create channels. And
that would be fun, yeah.
So theoretically, that could be the Robin and the Giant show with the music, and what you do is it could just be over and over again. In other words, what you did at 9 in the morning appears again at 9 at night.
And thereby, that's what's so important about your programming guide is your friend from Slovenia working on that, because how will we know when channels are broken up like that unless we do see the programming guide?
Yeah.
And channel guides are not always accurate. If you turn to the Florida channel, which I watch a great deal of the Florida channel, and I like to listen to the Florida Supreme Court oral arguments. Mm-hmm. So I tape them all. Well, out of, let's say, taping 12 programs, only one is really the oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court. In other words, the guide's wrong. It says this is what's on, but it's not. And then I'll be thumbing through channels one day, and there is the people arguing before the Florida Supreme Court on something. And I'll look, and it might say something else. And, so the guide is what is sent to us. We don't create the guide. We just send it out. So I'm hoping that when my guide, when my time I can go beat up systems like the Florida Channel and say, we need you guys to make your guide more accurate, because it reflects on us. You think it's us doing it.
Are you guys carrying the Super Bowl?
Yes, we carry the Super Bowl now in our systems. But once it becomes IP, my goodness, the strain that's going to put on the internet is going to be unbelievable. Because if I'm broadcasting in high def IP, and you want to watch it, there'll be a couple of 100,000 people turning to that one channel to have it streamed.
Wow!
And there'll be many people recording it, so that's going to eat up a lot of bandwidth to record it. So that's the biggest strain we have, and you hear about it all the time, where it says this failed and that failed. Too many people trying to do the same thing.
Right.
The system just can't hold it, and the technology is there, but the cost to make sure 100,000 people can watch it at the same time is really, really expensive.
And that's what's wonderful about you, Jim. I mean, gosh, you're up in Tallahassee now getting some equipment and things for your cable system to make sure everything goes smoothly for your subscribers. I mean, you just don't depend on the mail or anything like that. You actually have hands-on from start to finish.
Exactly. Now, if I have to make sure everything fits, then everything works together. You know, you get a lot of people that want to sell you, let's say, an A item, and another guy wants to sell you a B item, and they're both terrific, but they don't work together. And so you've got to do your research to find out what's the output of this and what's the input of that, and then there's a lot of finagling you got to do to make things work. But and it becomes very costly. I mean, in the millions of dollars, and I'm trying to do it on a budget of something like $300,000.
Jim, thank you for being on the air with us, even though you're not here. Our first call-in show from Jim George. Jim is the owner of American Cable Services. If we want to get a hold of you, how do we do that?
854-9795.
All right, 854-9795. Enjoy your weekend. If you're a Super Bowl watcher, have fun.
You too.
Be careful driving. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. An attack outside the Louvre in Paris, leaving some tourists on lockdown inside the museum, vetted before they